Hey there, race fans. Welcome into this week's episode of the Highline Podcast, where you've seen that new intro now 3 weeks. That gets me fired up, William. I feel like I'm ready to hop in a car and go running around with these boys. What do you think, man?
Yeah, it's a great intro. It's a great way to get into the NASCAR racing spirit because we've already gotten a couple of races under the belt this year with the Clash, the 500, and the Auto Club 400, and we know who are the real contenders, and we know who are some pretenders also from the 500. And this week, I believe, is going to be a huge stepping stone for some teams that are in the between. If they don't do well, if you don't do well at Las Vegas, you're not going to do well at all throughout the season. There's no ifs and buts. Vegas is a 1.5 mile track. I don't know why I said two. And if you just suck at the mile and a half, you're not going to be good at all. So you can write your season off. And it starts this weekend in Vegas.
Yep, that's a good point. Let's remind everybody what we do around here. He's, of course, William. I'm, of course, Jason. And we like to look back at the previous race from last week. So we'll go ahead and recap that race there at the Auto Club where Kyle Busch obviously took home the checkered flag. And then we'll turn our attention to this coming week at Las Vegas at the Pennzoil 400. We'll go ahead and preview that, give you our picks, predictions, winners, top three, and maybe some drivers that won't fare all that well. And then, of course, we'll give you our picks for a chance to win $10,000 on the Fox Bet Super 6, where I know William had a nice week. I had a nice bounce back week myself. See if we can't give somebody the right picks this week. All right, let's go ahead and kick it off with looking back at Auto Club 400 last week there at Auto Club, where Kyle Busch won. And Kyle Busch, quite frankly, I guess you could make a case that maybe Ross Chastain, maybe could have given him a good run for his money throughout maybe 2/3 of that race, maybe half of that race. But to me, it was Kyle Busch, generally speaking, all day. Overcame an early incident on pit road where he was too fast. Kyle Busch, very, very strong this past weekend.
Yeah, I believe it's very scary if you're the competition seeing Kyle Busch go from struggling in the 18 car to being a free agent and hopping on the RCR train and winning early on in the season. That's a scary thought because RCR hasn't been real competitive ever since Harvick left them at the end of the 2013 season. But with Kyle Busch back there, I think it's going to rejuvenate them. I'm saying that right. I'm going to get my words tied up here. I think RCR is going to be back on the map before you know it, and Kyle Busch is a true championship contender. But one last thing, though, about Ross Chastain. You mentioned he was quick. I'm very impressed with these two-car teams, the first 2 points-paying events. The 500, we saw the RFK cars up front dominating. And this weekend in Auto Club, Chastain won both stages. Suarez was up there also. I am very impressed. And this next-gen car is making the field much more competitive and making it an equal playing ground for the two-car teams against the four-car teams, if that makes sense.
Yep, yeah, I get that same impression as well. Looking back at this Auto Club, boy, just a good race overall. Passing throughout the entire field. You had the typical drama that you're going to get every week, and you had, like I said, Kyle Busch overcoming a speeding penalty. We saw our first equipment interference penalty where that drew a 2-lap penalty due to Martin Truex. He overcame that and damn near cracked in the top 10. And all this stuff is, what you get every single week, right? Penalties on pit road, equipment. I mean, none of this stuff is new, but it was just a good race. I thought it was good passing throughout the entire field. You had the drama. I thought the coverage on Fox improved. I mean, we went all the way through, to the competition caution, until we got a commercial. I thought there were a lot less commercials. I want to touch on a little bit of that in a little bit, but I just wanted to mention just overall, man, I just thought it was just a great race. And then we're not obviously going to come back here anymore, at least not for the next couple seasons. And when we do come back, it'll obviously be a short track and not a 2-mile. But Chevy's once again dominated. Just like I mentioned on last week's show that the Chevys were going to be strong and they got the top 4. They did it again this week. All 4 cars were Chevys. Now we're not going to be able to use this, next season and be able to give you picks and predictions because A, they won't be here, and 2, it'll be a half-mile track. But Chevys, we don't know what it'll be like on the half-mile track. But boy, the Chevys do like the 2-mile track.
Well, I got a concern with the Chevys for a minute. Like, we see Kyle Busch and Austin Dillon doing their fair share. The RCR cars are competitive. Chase Elliott had a runner-up finish this weekend. Kyle Larson had a mechanical failure, so you really can't count that against him.
Yeah,
but in my opinion,
just a victim of no practice, no qualifying right there.
Exactly. Yeah, and Chase Briscoe also. Remember, he was down cylinder. He was running in 32nd place the whole day behind Cody Ware. That is nothing you want to be doing. But is it too early, though? Way too early in the season to think about, is Kyle Busch the best Chevy driver in NASCAR? That's just my opinion. Like, is he up? Is he up there? I believe he is. I believe you can make the case. He's way better than Chase Elliott at the moment. Kyle Larson,
Interesting.
William Byron, and definitely a hell of a lot better than Alex Bowman. And I
Interesting.
believe he's putting Chevy on his back and carrying them and putting them back on the map.
I'm going to talk about it when we preview the race coming up this week at Las Vegas, but I think he's putting RCR on his back. I'm going to touch on RCR when we get to Las Vegas and previewing that race, but I kind of like RCR this weekend coming up down at Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Hey, the thing I wanted to mention, though, about Fox's coverage, okay, I thought the commercials, maybe they just took advantage of season opening race, Daytona, all the hype and drama, and they threw in a gazillion amount of commercials. I get it. It's part of paying the bills. I'll tell you one thing Fox needs to do to make a change. And I don't know, maybe you disagree with me. Tony Stewart has it's just what he says. I like it. Like, I love his knowledge, and obviously I love his experience, but he just doesn't come off with like any enthusiasm. There's no passion in his voice. It's just like he's just very soft spoken, gets the words out, but it doesn't. It need to be excited, right? Put me in the Auto Club. Put me in Fontana, California. Like, I'm not there. You're there. That's kind of your job as being, color, play-by-play, whichever role you're playing. You bring me to the racetrack. Tony Stewart, great knowledge, but damn, just boring as hell.
I think, Kevin Harvick, he's retiring and he's going to the booth. I believe what needs to happen, because NBC does it, and Fox can definitely do it if they wanted to, have a four-man booth. NBC, you got Dale Jr., you got Steve Letarte, you got Jeff Burton, and you got Rick Allen as the color commentator, and he's putting it the way it is, like Mike Joy is.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got Boyer, who is kind of enthusiastic, like every once in a while. Tony Stewart's here and there. But I believe if they put Stewart in there full-time with Harvick and Boyer, I believe it's going to be a combination you cannot second. I don't know. I like what they're doing with Stewart, giving him more opportunities. I believe he's getting better. He was better this week in Auto Club than he was in the 500, and definitely in the Clash also. But I believe, though, moving forward, they should have a four-man booth. I think it'd be more exciting and much more things to talk about.
Didn't I see a tweet by, I think it was Jay Ski, that said Danica Patrick was going to hop up in the booth on
Yes.
very, very soon, maybe this weekend, or if not this weekend, very soon.
It's Las Vegas,
Yeah.
and then also in Phoenix, and then Tony Stewart will take back over in Atlanta.
She did it last year, I want to say, and I enjoyed her. I kind of look forward to her getting up in that booth. I think she had good chemistry with Tony. I think it was last season she was in there. I kind of enjoyed it. I don't know. They need to mix it up. They need to throw in somebody else. Tony Stewart, great guy, but god damn, just putting me to sleep. And it's stage 3. Like, I should be getting hype. I should be excited. It's stage 3. Everything's on the line, right? We're in the last stage, and Tony Stewart just, oh, here come drivers on down the road. They're making the pass. Oh, there they go.
Well, my thing about Danica Patrick is I feel like she's kind of betrayed at NASCAR, because NASCAR is what got her real big and popular. We all know she raced IndyCar, but I feel like she turned her back on NASCAR. She given up about supporting the sport and being a great ambassador for the sport, and she tuned all of her attention to Formula One. And Formula One did not bring her up. NASCAR did. And she's not showing the respect that it deserves. And I feel like she's betraying NASCAR and holding them back. And if she can possibly go out there and support them all the time on social media like she's doing for Formula One, NASCAR will be in a great position. It's going to catch her audience, and that would be big. But you know what? She turned her back, and I believe NASCAR shouldn't be giving her these opportunities.
Mm-hmm. She's going to bring in viewers, so I get it. But yeah, I hear you. All right, what else you want to say there about the Auto Club? Where, again, Kyle Busch, that was the best car of the day. Chastain close second, but it was Busch all day. Anything else?
Yeah, it was the fastest car won the race. That's simple as that.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and turn over down to Las Vegas, 1.5 mile, little intermediate track where last year we had Joey Logano and Alex Bowman bring home the checkered flags, as obviously we race 2 times here every year. Here's what I'm looking forward to. I mentioned it when we were talking about RCR there in Auto Club. I'm looking for RCR. Reddick was 6th and 7th at the 2 races last year. Austin Dillon was 10th and 11th at the 2 races last season. I'm seeing nothing but great stuff, obviously, out of Kyle Busch in 2 races, even if you want to go and include the Clash. And I'm seeing nothing but great stuff out of Austin Dillon in the 2 races. And if you want to go back and include the Clash, that's okay with me too. Kyle Busch has elevated this team. He's pushed Austin Dillon that Tyler Reddick can't, right? Tyler Reddick doesn't have the pedigree and the resume that a Kyle Busch does. He is elevated the team, everything. So I'm looking for RCR. Strong here last year. Now you get a better driver in Kyle Busch. He's lifted the team. I'm looking for RCR. We've got Brian in the comment section. He thinks it's going to be a Joe Gibbs racing weekend. I'm on the RCR. What are you thinking? And maybe some other
I'm
thoughts.
thinking RCR too. RCR is going to be very quick. They're on the map. Once again, they're going to be hard to beat.
Okay. To go along with kind of RCR just dominating last season here, kind of dominating this season. Kyle Busch got the best average finish in the last 6 races. It dates back to 2020 season with 5.7 is his average finish. So he's coming in hot. Team's coming in hot. Obviously a track that he loves. Nobody's been doing better than him over the last six races. Busch has got 4 top 5s, 5 top 10s in those 6 races. Kyle Busch coming in with momentum. We know how much that means. We'll get to your top 3 in a little bit, but it's going to be hard to beat Kyle Busch, I think, again this week. And coming home, right? Obviously, this is where the Busch brothers are from. Get some mom's home cooking maybe or something. Just going to be feeling good.
And to mention, remember, he's driving a Chevy. He hadn't driven a Chevy on Las Vegas. For what it's worth, though, he's driving trucks and Xfinity this weekend, and those are 2 Chevy-built cars. I don't know. He may get used to the track with this new car. I don't know. That is something to throw out there. I don't think it's going to really play a factor, but it's something to think about.
I mean, I feel like last week I kind of missed it there with Kyle Busch, right? I talked about how dominant Reddick was, that 8 car. It should have been so easy to think, oh, yeah, now you're dropping in Kyle Busch, who's better than Tyler Reddick. Like, if they give him that same 8 car, he's going to win the race. Well, they gave him that same 8 car, and he drove the doors off everybody and won that race pretty damn easily. Mm-hmm. Reddick, 6th and 7th last year, damn good. Kyle Busch, momentum. Kyle Busch is going to be a name to watch. What about somebody else? What about Denny Hamlin? He's got the best driver rating in the last 6 ratings at 108.9. He's got 1 win and 4 top 5s. Watch out for Joey Logano. Took a checkered flag in 2019, 2020, and also 2022. You got to go all the way back to 2022 or 2012. Sorry, 2012. You got to go back to that spring race. That's the last time, William, he didn't finish in the top 15 at Vegas. We already like Team Penske. They're generally good, and Logano takes the cake in terms of Team Penske and how good they are when they come to Vegas. So Logano's average finish of 8.5 is best of the last 19 races here at Vegas. Watch out for Joey Logano and Team Penske.
Yeah, Team Penske is going to be quick, but I don't know. Last year, a lot of people didn't really think Truex was going to go winless. He was up there every single week going for the win, but he went winless. I'm kind of afraid. I know it's still early in the season, but Denny Hamlin may be a victim of that this year. He's good in the opening rounds of the race, the first 2 stages, that is, and he's nowhere to be seen at the end contending for the win. And that is very struggling for me to believe. I fear for Denny Hamlin. It's still early on, but I fear for him.
Okay. Man, it'd be a shocker if he doesn't win a race. He's usually strong week in and week out. A couple other names to keep an eye on. What about Truex? He's got 2 wins here. What about Harvick? He's got 2 wins here. We were kind of chatting about Harvick a little bit earlier. Probably not going to get a win, but dude just shows up in the top 10 every week. Mr. Consistency on maybe in a team that's struggling. You can always count on Harvick being in that top 10 somewhere. So, maybe from a betting perspective, maybe you have your eye on Kevin Harvick. We're not going to probably win the race, but if you get the right matchup from a head-to-head perspective, Kevin Harvick's probably going to be in the top 10 again.
Yeah, Kevin Harvick is a great driver. Do not get me wrong. With him retiring, Stewart-Haas Racing, this is like last week showed how big of a hole Stewart-Haas is going to be in next year without Harvick leading the team. They're going to be struggling, and they got to go after a veteran. That's all I got to say. Without Harvick, they're pretty much irrelevant.
They're done. Brian, let's sneak in this question here. You think Blaney's going to pick up a win this season? I think he does.
I think he picks up many wins, something he didn't do last year. He picked up an all-star win. That didn't count, but this year he'll pick up a couple of points-paying wins.
Yeah, I'm looking for him and Truex to kind of both have nice, bounce-back seasons if they're not getting wins last season. Mm-hmm. That's generally who I'm keeping an eye on this week, who I kind of wrote down on my notes, teams and driver-wise, of who I'd keep an eye on. Is there anybody else you want to mention? And then if you don't, why don't you give out a guy that maybe is going to be at the back of the field, maybe not going to have so great of a weekend if you don't have anybody else to keep an eye out for?
Well, a lot of people probably know that I'm a Chase Briscoe fan, but I believe this weekend he is going to flat out suck. I believe he's going to be not competitive, and he's just going to be well off the pace. And yeah, Chase Briscoe is the driver I believe is going to suck this weekend. But one other driver
Damn, how
you
painful.
should
Hey,
keep
hold
it.
on, hold on. How painful was that for you to say that, my man? You just said Chase Briscoe wasn't going to have when I got 3 years worth of videos here where you're picking Chase Briscoe top five every week. That was not a good feeling for you, I don't think. So that
No,
speaks volumes for how bad he may do this weekend.
I believe momentum is big, and Briscoe has completely none. He sucked it in the Clash. He sucked in the 500. He sucked in Auto Club. He just don't. He don't have the confidence right now to be going out there for race wins.
Mm-hmm.
And another driver that I am looking at as a potential winner, or not winner, but as like a dark horse type, would be Noah Gregson in the 42 car. I like what he's doing. He's very competitive, and he's a very good driver.
If Chase Briscoe does prove you wrong and maybe he can get it back going, obviously you know where we go next week. We go to Phoenix. So if he can get it going, doesn't mean he's got to get a win, doesn't mean he's got to be in the top five, but if he can have a good run, maybe crack the top 10, okay, then maybe we can talk about him, in the picture next week, at Phoenix. I got a driver that's not going to perform very well this week. It's Bubba Wallace. That guy hates Las Vegas. Average finish of 23.2 here at Las Vegas. Don't look for Bubba Wallace to put in a good showing this weekend. So I've got him towards the back of the field this weekend. All right, we got to get to a top three, and then let's give these people our picks on the Fox Bet Super 6 app. Top three, go P3 first. P3, only P3.
All right, P3, Joey Logano.
Okay, Joey Logano. I'm going Daniel Suarez. He was third in both stages in the fall race. So, he just fell off at the end, right? We all know guys can run into bad luck at the end of the race, but he was third in both stages. He's been fourth and seventh so far in the two races this season, so he's had a good run. You mentioned him earlier on in this episode there. And I think a good comp for Vegas is Kansas, and he got 10th last season at Kansas. So I'm looking for Daniel Suarez to crack the top three and come into P3. Who you got in P2?
All right, it's going to be Kyle Busch. A lot of people saying, oh, I thought you said RCR is going to be quick. They're going to be quick, but Kyle Busch is going to be in second place. It's pretty much throwing it up for an alley-oop for the winner. I'll talk about that in a minute, but Kyle Busch, P2.
I thought you were going to join Kyle Lee here and have Busch in P1, so you threw me a curveball there. Kyle's got maybe Busch sweeping the entire weekend. Wow, shocker. You've got Kyle Busch in P2. I got him in P2 because I thought you were going to put him in P1, so I didn't want to have the same thing as you. I got like Kyle Busch to win the damn race. I got him at P2, but that's because I thought you'd have him winning. So I went with Kyle Busch at P2. Who'd you pick winning the race then, man?
All right. Remember, he's alley-hooping it up to his teammate, Austin Dillon. Austin Dillon's going to go up there and slam dunk it and win the Pennzoil 400 at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Get my words tied up here, but Austin Dillon winning this early in the season. I don't know, it's a big upset, I guess you can say, but I believe Kyle Busch, the team, is helping him out so he can change his driving styles to the best of his knowledge, and he's way more competitive. I'm liking what Austin Dillon's doing right now. He's going to win many races this year.
What a dream there for Richard Childress. You sign Kyle Busch in the offseason. He comes in, immediately lifts that entire team, lifts the 8 car, obviously, and to have 3 races into the season if both your cars are locked into the playoffs, assuming we don't get more than 16 winners. Wow, what a start there for RCR that would be. I put Joey Logano in. I cannot get away from his pedigree. Wins races, generally speaking, here every year. He's had a nice run to the season so far earlier on. So I went Joey Logano as the winner there, taking the checkered flag. Joey Logano for me. All right, let me get my phone out. Let me get in the Fox Bet Super 6 app. Wow, Austin Dillon, you got RCR 1-2. I mean, they've been good. They've been good. Let's see. Brian went Truex, Logano, Busch is what Brian went.
Truex, I think he'll be all right. Logano, I believe, is almost a lock in the top 3 at this point, but I don't know. I like Logano, and I like Truex. I like Busch. I think Hill has got it. Hill, 1989 VA. I know Brian Hill. Hey, this is a great 3 drivers right there. I believe if there was a way you could put money on your top 3, that right there be like a slam dunk for easy money. Dillon has an off day.
Yeah, we both disagree with that. We both disagree with that, which is perfectly fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but yeah, they've been too strong. I liked what they did last year. All right, let's jump in here. Yeah. Where I got last week, I got 9 out of 18, which I think was definitely an improvement from the previous week. So I'll take it. All right, question 1 here, William. Which of these drivers will have the better finish at the end of the race? Hamlin, Logano, Truex, Busch, Keselowski, Harvick. I'm going Busch.
Kyle Busch all day. Simple.
I mean, if you're not going him, I would go Logano. Yeah, looking at these
Yeah,
places.
but
If you're not him, I'd go
well,
Logano.
you
But
got
it's
to
easy
think
to go
about it
Busch.
though. Kyle Busch it's his home race. He's racing for a lot. He has nothing to lose. Think about it. He's going to go out there and do something aggressive. And if he's racing Logano, he's not going to come home second to him, regardless of whether that's for second place or third place. He's going to beat Logano. And I believe those are the only two horses in the race, in my opinion.
You do have Kevin Harvick on this question. By the way, I checked out your video on your channel about who was going to replace Kevin Harvick there in the 4. I won't give it away. I want people to watch that. It was a great piece of video, but I liked your long shot. I can't, not Cole Custer. Not saying that's necessarily your pick, but god damn, not Cole Custer, man. Guy does not earn the right. But go on, hop over to Williams' channel. He's got a couple guys in a long shot that'll replace Kevin Harvick there next season. So, all right, which manufacturer will have the most cars on the lead lap at the end of stage 2, and how many will they have? I'm going Chevy. Which manufacturer will have the most cars on the lead? I mean, how many Chevys are in the field? It's like a 40-some entry field, 40-ish.
So here's the thing. I think what's going to hold them back is you got Spire Motorsports, the 7 and 77. Those are 2 cars. And then you got the 78 car of BJ McLeod. Those are 3 cars right there are going to be easily a lap down early on. They're going to hold them back. I think the Chevy's going to be held back some, but not by a lot.
I need to go look at the entry list and do a real. There's usually around 40-ish cars that enter every week. How many of those are Chevy, Fords, and Toyotas? I'm not 100% sure.
The thing about this question is there's not many Toyotas, so they really can't put them in there. Ford, there are some, but like the Rick Ware cars kind of throw it down some, and the Stewart-Haas struggles are bad, and you got Team Penske and RFK. It is not much confidence at the moment for Ford. Chevy's pretty much the easy pick right here.
All right, hold. 36 cars have entered the field. 36 cars are in the field. Just looking over this real quick. It still looks like it could be Chevy, even though if you lose a couple of the guys you mentioned, which are pretty predictable that they will be, some, wrecks could happen, right? This isn't stage 1. This is stage 2. I'm going to still say Chevy. I'm going to go through this list. I'll tweet out I'm going to go 12.
Yeah, I believe 12 is a reasonable number. He had a give and take for some wrecks. And Chevy is fortunate enough for this question to have a lot of wiggle room for a lot of cars on the grid. So they'll be all right. This would be a great answer to the question. Chevy and 12.
And I just saw that, Kyle, when I opened the app for the first time since last Sunday. Yeah, they have leagues now. I'll have to go through that. Maybe I'll create one here, and we can compete, and maybe I'll do the same sort of thing I did on the NBC Sports. So I didn't know that, so I don't have that prepared today, but maybe next week. Maybe we'll create a league here for winning bets and do the same thing we did on NBC.
Yeah. The people just got to stay tuned to our Twitter accounts because we'll post that stuff, and we'll make it known that we do that. So, yeah, stay tuned.
All right, question 3. Which of these drivers will have the fastest lap by the end of stage 2? And how many yellow laps will there be? Wow, we're kind of combining 2 things that aren't the same at all into one question. So first part is who's going to have the fastest lap, Bowman or Chastain? I'm going to go Chastain. And then we got how many yellow laps will there be? Well,
you got to think there's the stage breaks.
You got the competition. You got the stage break. I don't think they're counting at the end of stage 2 in this question for the caution that comes at the end of stage 2, because then those yellow flags are technically at the end. I don't know how they word that.
It's going to be more than 20, I believe. I don't know, because the stage break caution is going to take at least 9 to 10 laps. Because they got to think about the commercial breaks, pit stops, the field is going real slow. They're going to take a lot. It's going to be well over 20, I believe.
All right, I'll go 26 plus.
Yeah, that's the way to go with, I believe.
Which team will have the most laps led by the end of stage 2, and how many laps will they lead? It's Hendrick versus Joe Gibbs or Racing. I could see Larson, if they run practice and qualifying, that doesn't get rained out. He's not going to have those same issues. I loved how Elliott battled back and got that P2 finish. Do I like anybody like Joe Gibbs to lead laps? I don't think I like anybody at Joe Gibbs to lead laps. So Hendrick, I'm going to go 1-13. If they lead laps, I don't think they're going to have a hell of a competition with Kyle Busch. I'm going to tell you.
So is this one going towards the end of stage 2 or the entire race?
Stage 2.
Yeah, I failed to put that down. Stage 2? Like, I know this can be going out on a limb here. I don't see JGR leading many laps, if any. Hendrick, I don't have much faith in them besides Ellie and Larson. So I'm going to go with Hendrick here, like 1-13. That's the safest bet. But it wouldn't surprise me one single bit for none of the two to lead a lap at all. It's as simple as that. I believe Trackhouse Racing is going to be up there. RCR is going to be up there. Penske. Yeah, these two right here. I just don't have much confidence in either one of them.
Got to see where they qualify. Got to see where they qualify. If you get a Hendrick guy on the front row, then okay, maybe that changes it. I'm going to go tie for now. I just realized that it actually has a tie option. So if I don't think Hendrick can do it, then I'm going to go tie. I don't think they'll do it.
Yeah.
And we'll see where they qualify, right? I mean, you just said it. Stay tuned to the Twitters. If they qualify up there, okay, then we'll change the answer. Yeah. All right, which manufacturer will have the car that gains the most positions by the end of stage 2? And how many positions will they gain? Chevy versus Ford. Well, Kyle Busch doesn't have a good qualifying. He's going to race through the field like he did last week, overcoming that speeding penalty on pit road. That did not set him back whatsoever. He got right back up there real damn fast.
Yeah. About it. There's a lot of Chevys. They're going to be all around. I think the Chevys.
Yeah. Another one though, you got to kind of see which Chevy. Like, right? Do we see an Austin Dillon maybe not qualify good? A Kyle Busch not qualify good? Does Ross Chastain maybe not qualify good? So yeah, I'm going to put 13-14 for now. But I mean, how can you really answer this stuff without practice and qualifying? All right, which driver will have the better finish at the end of stage 2? It's Kyle versus Kyle. And how many positions will they be better than the other Kyle? I'm going the 8 is going to be better than the 5, and the 8 is going to be better. Busch is going to take the flag. He's going to win stage 2, and Larson's going to be in 3rd, so that'd be 2 spots better.
I think Busch is going to finish 1st in the stage, and Kyle Larson is going to be 4 spots behind him. I think it's pretty simple at this point. Larson has no confidence, struggled in the 500. It was good in qualifying, however. Auto Club had a mechanical failure. He's in the same boat as Briscoe, but I believe he's a little bit better off just because he's a past champion of the sport, and he knows what it takes to rebound from a big struggle. And I believe he's going to turn things around, but I believe right now, though, he is nowhere to be like up front winning races yet. That's a big if, but I believe that's the case for Kyle Larson.
I mean, and especially with who they pin him up against in that question, it's like the complete opposite. The guy, has all the confidence. He's on a new team. He's the guy on that team. Like everything's just flowing right now for Kyle Busch. Like he's the guy. And he's hot right now. I mean, that was an impressive win last week. And then he's been impressive too in the Clash in the Daytona. So it wasn't like it was like a fluke. I mean, he's 3 races and he's been strong. So, All right, that's going to be it for this week on the Highline Podcast. I would suggest, Brian, if you think Blaney can hop in Harvick's car, why don't you hop on over and go watch that video? Maybe go over there and watch that video. I'll tell you, he's got 5 potential drivers, and maybe Blaney cracked it. Maybe he didn't. He would have to be bought out by Team Penske, so there's always that factor. But go check it out, Brian. See if Blaney can jump in that 4 car based on what William thinks. Otherwise, all right, we'll, of course, be back next week. We've got Phoenix the following week. I think Phoenix is the last of the West Coast trip, right? Then they come off the West Coast
and they go to
Atlanta, right?
Atlanta, Coda, and I think it's Bristol. It gets good.
Yeah, that definitely does as the weather warms up. All right, cool. Appreciate you hanging out with us, William. Appreciate everybody who's watching this, whether you're watching the live or the replay. And good luck with your picks. Hope you guys can enjoy this race just like we had a good one last week there at the Auto Club. All right, William, have a good one.